Dear colleagues, it's time to start our annual webinar on electronic government. And today we are holding the seminar on smart city in the age of digital economy. This webinar, as I mentioned, is annual and is done under the branch of World Smart Sustainable Cities Organization, Europe Regional Office in Ulyanovsk region, in collaboration with the World Bank. And now it's my honor to pass the floor to Ms. Svetlana Penusheva, Secretary General, WeGO Europe Regional Office.
От лица правительства Ульяновской области, от губернатора и от себя лично я искренне рада приветствовать вас.
Dear WeGo members and participants of the webinar, on behalf of the government of the Ulyanovsk region and my own behalf, I'm very pleased to welcome you to our webinar. In 2017, the program Digital Economy of the Russian Federation was approved, according to which digital data is a key factor of production in all spheres of social and economic activities. The important part of this program is the Smart City section. According to this, 50 smart cities will be created in the Russian Federation. We hope that Ulyanovsk will be among these 50 cities and do everything possible for this. That is why the theme of the webinar is Smart City in the Age of Digital Economy. At the 4th WeGo General Assembly, the governor of the Ulyanovsk region presented development strategy for the Ulyanovsk Smart Region, which was highly evaluated by international and Russian WeGo experts. We are glad to continue cooperation with WeGo and to use the solutions proposed by WeGo, World Bank in order to implement smart city projects. I hope that this webinar will be a success and we look forward to further cooperation with stakeholders.
Thank you very much, Svetlana Vladimirovna. It's our honor to have you on this webinar, and nice to see you again. So, colleagues, now we are moving to our webinar itself, and I will briefly introduce the speakers. So the first speaker is Mr. Mikhail Bunchuk, Operations Officer, Transport and ICT Global Practice, the World Bank Group, based in the Moscow, Russian Federation. And he will give us the broad overview of digital economy assessments. Then we pass the floor to Birgit Scholz, research in Vienna University of Technology, Research Group of Industrial Software and Copper. She'll tell us some aspects of Austrian Health ID card. And in the closure, Mr. Alexander Trubitsyn, Chief Strategy Officer of Lartek Telecom, also from Russian Federation, will tell us some opportunities that Internet of Things can bring. And since we are starting, I'll just briefly tell you that the recording of this webinar will be available online, and you can freely share it through your networks. So, and it's a great honor to pass the floor to Mr. Mikhail Bunchuk, Operations Officer, Transport and ICT Global Practice, the World Bank Group Moscow Office, Russian Federation. Mikhail, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alexander. Good afternoon, Svetlana Vladimirovna. I'm addressing Ms. Penusheva, our long-standing counterpart in Ulyanovsk. And hello, everyone. It's a real honor and pleasure to join this webinar. Okay, let me try to launch my slides. Okay, now you're supposed to see them.
Yes.
Alexander, can you see
yes.
them? All right. Well, Alexander, first of all, I would like to probably make a brief amendment to the way you presented my talk. Yes, I will make some overview of digital economy worldwide, but I don't want to really, deliver a lecture on the global trends. But I would rather prefer to be more practical and speak about the diagnostics instrument for assessing the level of digital economy development that the World Bank, jointly with its partners, recently designed. That's why I actually put digital economy diagnostics into the title of my presentation. And I actually want to be even more practical and present the preliminary results of the assessment of the readiness for digital economy that the World Bank, in partnership with the government of Ulyanovsk Oblast and local stakeholders, have carried out just recently. Right now, this is probably the first instance when these results of assessment are being presented to the international audience, that's for sure. We're still in the kind of discussion and feedback gathering mode in terms of the results of the assessment, so there might be still some changes in the final layout of the reports on the diagnostics, but still I think it would be illustrative in terms of what diagnostics would look like, and of course we would be happy to hear any comments. Svetlana Vladimirovna, in her introductory remarks, quite rightly pointed out that a digital economy program was recently adopted in Russia, and Russia is no exception in this regard. A number of countries have either adopted recently or are in process of designing these digital economy strategies or programs. In Russia, probably the whole year has been marked by a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about digital economy. Russian president made several announcements about the priority laid on digital economy development at various occasions, and most importantly, indeed, Russia, following the example of many other countries, has adopted the digital economy program. And I think this is clearly an emerging trend. You can see some of the examples of other countries' strategies. What is probably most important to observe on this slide that you can see on the screen right now is that when adopting the digital economy strategies, countries are not just looking at the ICT development or purely kind of ICT-focused impacts of these strategies. They're trying to generate tangible social and economic impacts from their investments into digital technologies. We in the bank try to come up with a definition of digital economy, which is not a trivial thing. Different people understand digital economy differently. Some people would even say that, why talk about digital economy as a new phenomenon? It's just a continuation of long-term trend of active use of ICTs in social and economic development. Perhaps on the definition that you can see on the screen that we have come up with in the course of discussions within our team and with different expert communities, the key word is data. What differentiates digital economy as the way we would put it, new paradigm of accelerated economic development is active use of data. And again, Ms. Epionasheva quite rightly put it in her introductory remarks that data becomes essentially a new factor of production, a new engine of growth. So data exchange is a real new thing that differentiates digital economy from previous iterations of increased use of ICTs in economic development. Of course, we can observe a number of emerging technologies, one can say disruptive technologies that make a real difference for economic development. I wouldn't go into detail in describing them because I'm pretty sure that we have here quite an advanced audience in terms of technology, understanding technology trends. Probably you could even speak about some of these technologies better than myself. But what is important to understand is that these disruptive technologies transform not only the digital sector of economy in itself, not only ICT industry, but the traditional sectors of economy. It's really cross-cutting impact on economy as a whole. And here you can see some of these impacts on the financial sector, on the trade, and so on. The World Bank has been definitely very active in trying to conceptualize, understand, and the use of use the effects of these new emerging technologies. The World Bank has a huge ICT portfolio worldwide, and we are trying to be at the cutting edge of the use of new and emerging technologies in our projects and analytical work. And probably our role in bringing the understanding of digital economy to a new level and trying and helping our counterparts, clients, and partners reap the benefits of digital development is to bring together best practices, try to accumulate international knowledge, and as a result, help our counterparts come up with a cohesive strategy of digital economy development. And to some extent, this effort was reflected in the Digital Dividends report. It's World Development Report that was published by the World Bank in 2016. By the way, it was the first instance when the World Bank dedicated its annual report on world development to the issues of ICT and digital development, digital technologies. It was for the first time in 30 years. That shows that the World Bank itself finally kind of woke up to the challenge of digital development. And as a next step, after publishing this report last year, the World Bank team has come up with a framework to evaluate and assess the state of digital economy development at the national level, at the regional level, and of course it could be applied to the municipal and city level as well. And this framework consists of different layers, including so-called analog enablers, digital enablers, digital solutions, and digital dividends. And to probably help you better understand the way we think about all these digital layers, what we include in analog enablers is policy framework, institutions, skills and leadership. Digital enablers include digital connectivity, different kinds of digital cross-cutting digital technologies such as cloud, digital ID and digital payments, cybersecurity, data analytics. Then we look at the use of these digital and analog enablers across digital solutions, which cover digital government, digital business, and digital society. And some of these vertical applications of digital technologies in each of these sectors include health, education, agriculture, transport, cities, which is digital cities, which is especially relevant for today's workshop, digital governance, and digital industry. And ultimately, we're looking at how the use of digital technology results in better inclusion of people in economic and social development, better services, new jobs, and economic growth, what we called digital dividends. Of course, the assessments of digital dividends is not a trivial thing because on the one hand, you can argue that, of course, better use of technology in government, business, and society should lead to better economic outcomes. But you can also hear about controversial impacts, for instance, of digital technologies on jobs. Sometimes digital technologies can have a disruptive effect on some of the professions, on some of the industries. For instance, a number of jobs can be laid off in, say, financial sector, where banks are increasingly digitized. Also, of course, due to digitalization, there can be job losses in a number of manufacturing sectors. So we can see some of the diverging trends in different industries, different sectors in terms of jobs, if we're talking about jobs. And our role is to assess these trends. And for us as the World Bank, of course, it is important to understand how to ensure a net positive effect of digital technologies on social and economic development, including jobs. Because ultimately, our motto, our mission of the World Bank is eliminating poverty and ensuring reaching shared prosperity. That's why the economic and social outcomes of digital development are of utmost importance to us, and of course to our partners, to the governments and the cities we're working with. Because for politicians, for governments, what matters most is what's the impact of digital technologies on the societies, on the people in the respective territories, within their mandates. So this is basically the way we think about it, and this is what paved the way to the digital economy assessment methodology that we have recently launched. You can see different reasons why we have developed this methodology, but ultimately there is a demand. We sense a demand for diagnostics because in order for countries to design their digital strategies, of course, you need to have a good understanding of the current status, of the current level of development in order to plan for the future. Alexander, is my audio okay? Can you hear me well?
Yes, perfectly.
All right.
Yeah, I got some message from a colleague that he doesn't hear us, but we just did several double checks. Everything works perfectly. Thank you very much.
All right, good. I just wanted to double check. Okay, let me move forward then. What we're doing right now is twofold. First, we are piloting digital economy assessment in Russia as a whole. Russia is the first country where digital economy readiness assessment is being piloted. But also we are very lucky to have a dedicated partner in Ulyanovsk Oblast that kind of took the initiative to apply this methodology at the regional level in Ulyanovsk Oblast. This is indeed very brave because the results of this assessment may not be necessarily encouraging across all the areas, across all the factors. Ulyanovsk Oblast may have to hear perhaps some disturbing news on some of the aspects of its digital development, but there is a very high level of openness and readiness to be quite frank and transparent in Ulyanovsk Oblast, which actually quite encouraged us. And I think that is a recipe for success in Ulyanovsk Oblast, not to shy away from the problems, but to see the real picture. I think that probably this candid attitude already enabled Ulyanovsk Oblast to be among the leaders in Russia in terms of investment climate. Ulyanovsk Oblast has been topping the regional rankings of investment climate among Russian regions. Ulyanovsk Oblast was the first among Russian regions, and actually even worldwide, to launch some time ago open data assessment, open data readiness assessment, and it enabled Ulyanovsk Oblast to be among the leaders. So we're really hopeful that our collaboration on digital economy readiness assessment would also enable Ulyanovsk Oblast to kind of make a quick breakthrough in digital economy development. And ultimately, why we are doing it in Ulyanovsk Oblast is to help our counterparts in the region with the decision making, to make more objective decision making on investment to promote digital economy. Of course, to identify bottlenecks and come up with a better policy framework for digital economy development. We know that Ulyanovsk Oblast is actually has it as a priority to come up with a good, well thought out strategy for digital economy development. Okay, let me now give you a few highlights of the results of our assessment. And what you can see on the diagram, the spider diagram here, green scores and green line shows the level of Ulyanovsk Oblast in different indicators that are listed on the diagram, and the gray line shows the Russia level according to our assessment. As I said, we concomitantly carry out a similar digital economy readiness assessment on Russia as a whole. So you can see Ulyanovsk Oblast compared to Russia level. And again, I would like to emphasize that the conclusions are preliminary. They are, of course, debatable, and the results are still to undergo very intensive kind of feedback gathering and consultations, both within the World Bank and in Ulyanovsk Oblast. So some, changes in the scores are still quite possible. As far as public policy and strategic planning is concerned, Ulyanovsk Oblast is doing quite well in terms of developing some of the elements of policy framework, but more work needs to be done. There is a need to be to develop a more coherent policy framework, because various documents that have been adopted in Ulyanovsk Oblast over the past few years are kind of heterogeneous. They had different priorities in mind, and a need for a more consistent approach, of course, synchronized with the developments at the federal level of Russia, would be needed. I think that here we have a shared understanding with the government of Ulyanovsk Oblast. There is definitely a high-level leadership in Ulyanovsk Oblast in digital economy development, starting from the governor of Ulyanovsk Oblast, who is very much reform-oriented, and down to different levels of the regional government. At the same time, there are some, of course, challenges and weaknesses that we are also highlighting. In terms of legislation, something that probably we need to discuss further with our counterparts in Ulyanovsk Oblast is the need for region-level legislation on digital economy, as opposed to just following the federal legislation. Of course, it's not a very simple issue, and I think that there is a question probably faced by a number of Russian regions, whether to kind of jump ahead and develop its own legislation or wait for some more guidance to come from the federal level. Probably the right approach lies somewhere in the middle. So this is basically an area for further consideration by government of Ulyanovsk Oblast itself, and we will be happy to be part of this conversation, of course. On human capital, I think that we have some very good advances in Ulyanovsk Oblast, but also challenges. Advances include very good level of ICT education in Ulyanovsk universities, and we can even observe that some of the IT companies present in Ulyanovsk Oblast set up their own departments in Ulyanovsk universities to train the specialists that they need in their particular narrow fields. At the same time, there is a perception of shortage of IT specialists. The supply generated by university definitely is lower than the demand from the local IT industry. That's kind of a good news, meaning that there is a vibrant IT industry that is ready to absorb more talent, but at the same time, it's also a bad news in terms of, in the sense that the local universities are not meeting this demand to a full extent. And of course, there is also a big issue of IT competencies being developed at the high school, at the secondary education level. I don't think that we would address this issue fully in our report, and actually I, as a feedback provider to the immediate authors of the report, asked the authors to be kind of more cautious in terms of providing recipes and to expand the coverage of IT at the school, introduce more IT, more coverage of digital technologies and individual subjects, make the level of education in computer science kind of more advanced at school. Being a father of school children, I know that children are already overloaded with different subjects at school. I would rather be very cautious in giving them even more work at school, but still there is definitely a challenge and an issue of how to build capacity or in IT at the school level. Sasha, Alexander, how am I doing in terms of timing? Should I wrap up? Go ahead.
So actually, it's like 30 minutes, but I should recommend you
Sorry,
to the final part.
All right.
Your presentation is quite interesting.
All right. Let me wrap up quickly, because it's not possible to do justice to the whole assessment. Well, in terms of R&D, just the most interesting things. It's interesting that actually Ulyanovsk Oblast is among the leaders among Russian regions in terms of the industrial corporate investments into R&D. At the same time, the level of innovation is lacking. So this is something I think for Ulyanovsk Oblast to further look at. In terms of business environment, again, Ulyanovsk Oblast is among the leaders in terms of investment climate in Russia, but there are still a lot of challenges in business environment, especially in relation to digital economy development, which probably are not captured in good investment climate ratings, but still needs to be looked at by the regional government. And in terms of social and economic effects, there is an immense potential in reaping digital dividends in Ulyanovsk Oblast. I think there is a strong base from which Ulyanovsk Oblast is starting. I think it's important for especially external audience to just get a flavor of where Ulyanovsk Oblast stands. Ulyanovsk Oblast is just third among among Russian regions after Moscow and St. Petersburg in terms of the presence of local IT companies in top 50 Russian IT companies. So it's, you might argue that Ulyanovsk Oblast is the third strongest region in Russia in terms of IT. I think that Ulyanovsk Oblast just has to capitalize on this foundation, and has probably it will be really disappointing if Ulyanovsk Oblast doesn't reap the digital dividends and doesn't make digital technologies a factor of economic and social development going forward. All right, so this is just a slide showing that we have a huge community of experts whom we mobilize to help our counterparts, including Ulyanovsk Oblast, to move ahead. Just a week ago, one of the people listed here visited Ulyanovsk Oblast, Randip Sudan, who is one of the thought leaders in digital economy. That's it on my part. Thank you very much. Sorry about kind of exceeding the time to some extent, but it's an exciting topic, and you know, really excited to speak about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikhail. It's a pleasure to have you in this panel. And colleagues, maybe Birgit or maybe Alexander, you have some questions for Mikhail?
No.
No, everything is okay, yeah? Yeah, Mikhail, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you here. And actually, you did a very big overview and very broad overview of what's going on in the world. And your presentation illustrates the famous motto that think global, act local. Mikhail, thank you very much for your presentation and for your time. And though we have not much participants of this webinar, but we will upload the recording shortly after the event, and we can share it with our networks. Thank you, Mikhail. It's our pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Alexander, and thank you very, very much, everyone, for attending.
Thank you very much, Mikhail. And colleagues, before I pass the floor to Birgit Scholz, I will briefly introduce her. Birgit Scholz is a famous Austrian researcher in the field of e-government, in the field of health, and she also did a quite big presentation in St. Petersburg this September about Austrian digital ID card, and this presentation was a kind of success. So, Birgit, I've passed you responsibilities as presenter. Could you please
Thank you.
start your presentation?
Thank you very much. Can you see the slides?
Yes, mobile
Okay,
e-card
perfect.
perfectly.
Okay, perfect. So hello to everyone. My name is Birgit Scholz, and I'm researcher at the Technical University of Vienna. And we did a research project called Mobile e-card, a smooth and smart integrated mobile concept for parallelizing and virtualizing the Austrian Health ID card. And what is it about? The project itself was funded by the Austrian Security Research Program, KIRAS, of the Federal Ministry for Transport, Innovation and Technology. And those were the partners, the research partners, RISE, a software company where I also worked there, the Austrian State Printing House, then also Danube University in Krems, and the doctors were represented from the Austrian Medical Chamber. Those were the research partners. And I will show you a short introduction about the Austrian health system, because Austria is not so large and nobody knows anything about the health system in different countries. So I will give you a short introduction to that. And then we dig into the research project, the goals of it, a short overview, what the project was, what kind of methods we used, and the expected results from it, and also the details about the functionalities, technical concept, and their aspects and conclusion. So Austria itself, yeah, we are a landlocked country. We don't have any sea, bordered by Germany, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Slovenia, and Italy, Switzerland, Liechtenstein. So kind of in the middle of everything. We have a lot of mountains, and we have over 8 million people here. And usually we speak German, not Austrian, German. And we don't have kangaroos. Okay. And right now, I'm sitting in the capital, in Vienna. And yeah, that's what Austria looks like. Different cities. And what about the Austrian health system, healthcare system? It is funded, most of it by taxes. Ministry of Health, states, and we also have health insurances. And everybody here in Austria has free access to the healthcare system. So all individuals receive publicity-funded care, and we have a free choice of health professional and equal access to care. That means we don't have a gatekeeper. We don't have a main doctor that I need to go there. If I want to have a special doctor, then I just walk up to them and make an appointment. So that's special for Austria. But everybody has the option to purchase supplementary healthcare, private healthcare insurances. That would be the comfort class or private insurance plan. With the population, what are the hospitals, and there are some numbers in the Austrian healthcare system. We have over 200 hospitals here, and of course in the hospitals there are doctors and also care persons, general practitioners, and specialists and dentists, doctors in training, and a lot of pharmacies, of course, yeah. And some pharmacies are also in the hospitals, or they're also at the general practitioners itself. So doctors can sell medical stuff. Okay? That was the Austrian health system itself. I'm now present you a little bit about the Austrian health infrastructure. What is is interesting, or the main part of it, we built on it. 2004, the government rolled out the Austrian Health ID card, yeah, that, like you can see it also in the presentation on the slides, that's what it looks like. So every patient has an e-card, and for service providers, doctors or hospitals, they have a different e-card, they have an O-card, yeah, this is called. It gives access to the public health system, a technical access to the public health system, and the doctors need this O-card, the e-card of the patient, and also a special card reader. And this card reader is connected to a secure health information network. It's called CHIN, yeah, in German. And on this card, there's not so much of information on it. There is no medical documentation on it. It's only the things that you can see on the card, like the name, the birth date, and the number, security number. So that's what the government did. They rolled it out through whole Austria. And then since 2010, the government started the project ELGA, Elektronische Gesundheitskarte in Austria. It's the Austrian Patient Health Record System. With the card itself, the doctors only have access to a network, yeah. But the records, they always look differently. in each hospital, at each doctor. So there was no structured data. So with ELGA, the government focused to have one medical document that looks the same through the whole country, and that's the awesome patient health record system. Yeah? It contains relevant health data only. So in the government, they got together and said, okay, what is the relevant data? What do doctors really need to know? And then they put it into the law. And it's a virtual patient record, so we don't have a central health data storage. And this standard, this technical standard, is based on international technical standards in the medical environment. And since last year, there is the rollout of the ELGA infrastructure. Now, all the public hospitals are connected to the system, and the next steps in the next years, also pharmacies, medical offices, private healthcare providers, they also are getting connected to it. So as you can see, the Austrian government puts a lot of effort into improving the national healthcare system itself, yeah? And there's a lot going on right now. So what was the goal of our research project? Everybody has a card, and everything goes onto your mobile phone. So why shouldn't it be possible to bring the same function from the card on your mobile phone? Yeah, everything goes mobile. Also, what you have in your banking card also can be mobile. So why not also bringing the health ID card on a mobile phone? That was kind of the research focus, yeah. So, and for that, we did analysis and specification of the technical and legal requirements, focusing on security, because of course there is access of your medical data, your personal medical data, yeah. So security is one big issue for that. And since doctors, they are not really, how should I say, they don't like to have a lot of technical equipment, and they're not so experienced with technical equipment. So it should be user-friendly. It should be on the mobile phone, yeah, mobility, and also privacy aspects. That's what we focused on through the whole research project. And we also did design and implementation on of a health application for mobile devices, but only a prototype, only for demonstration purposes. So it's not really rolled out into the real environment in Austria. Yeah, it's only like what could it look like, and would it work? Yeah, kind of. We also focused on usability and acceptance testing, and of course, research project published the results. Yeah. What kind of method did we use? For the whole project. First, it was it's a totally different way of thinking. Yeah, you have not the card, you have it on your mobile phone, so you can have totally different features with an e-card. You have access to the network, and then with the card, and you have it always with you, so there are different features possible. And you have to create the features and find out what are the most important ones, yeah, for the patient and also for the doctor, because you are limited on money, of course, and time. And so it's very important that you focus on what are the most important features, and that's where you start. Then we developed a mobile health application. We evaluated it and also did a technical security concept, developed a technical security concept. Yeah. What does it look like, the prototype? So we have like like with the card, I've told you before, the patient has the e-card and the doctors have an O-card. Also here we have two different applications, apps. The mobile health application for the patient, and a little bit later I will show you the application for the doctors. They have different functionalities. Yeah. So that's what it looks like. It should be user-friendly. That was one focus, what we said. An easy installation. Yeah. And because nobody likes to type the data in, we said, okay, we have the existing e-card. It should be easy to get the data from it, so you can take a picture, and with OCR, the data will be recognized and put it into the app automatically. But you also can type it in. You can also use your passport photo and the data from the passport to prevent ID fraud. So when your mobile phone has NFC and you put the mobile phone on your passport, then also it gets the data from the passport, and this works with the prototype as well. So it should be easy to start the application to get the data in. That was kind of the focus, yeah. So yeah, and an easy way to start a patient consultation. What else? The mobile health ID application for the patient. The patient said it would be nice to have reminders, yeah, of a doctor's appointment and vaccinations. So that's what kind of priority for the patients. Also that they have notes, they can write something down, or also to get medical information, their own health records or prescriptions, and they always have it with them on their mobile phone, on a secure part, yeah. And maybe get also additional information like opening hours of pharmacies or search for doctors, yeah. So that's what it looks like on the left side. For the doctors, like we've said, there are different functionalities that are important. There it also should be a fast registration. They said it's very important to them that the patient has a proof of that he has a proof of identity with the application, and should be easy to exchange data. He also wants to manage the patient data sets. Like you can see, it's a list of the patients, and there he has also a picture and to see the number and also the name of it. It should be also easy to delegate healthcare services. Yeah. Okay. And a digital signature of medical letters and prescriptions to prove that the doctor saw those medical letters and prescription. Special for the doctors are there also the dictation of text. Doctors don't like to type everything in. They really like it when they just talk and everything is on the text immediately. So the dictation would be a very interesting feature for them as well. And another thing that would be possible with the app is communication with patients, yeah, in a secure way. So the doctor said they don't want to have, or they don't want to buy a lot of new technical equipment. So it was also a focus to put their mobile health application into the existing infrastructure. What kind of possibilities would we have there, yeah? And there are 3 different possibilities to put it into the existing healthcare infrastructure. One would be, like you've seen before, the adapter, what is right now at the doctor side. This adapter needs to be extended with NFC interface, so that could be a possibility. The other possibility would be that they also buy an own NFC card reader to exchange the data between the mobile phone and his own network infrastructure. Or also the doctor uses the application, the doctor application by himself, yeah. So then the patient and the doctor, they put their mobile phones together and then data is exchanged. The patient has to type in a PIN to say, okay, yeah, that's right, I want to connect with the doctor, and then the data will be exchanged. So those were the different possibilities. Then what kind of further aspects do we have here? Then as we have like benefits also for the patients. Those are new benefits, yeah. Secure integration of other external health applications. You can, like everything is right now on the mobile phone, and then you can also use maybe other applications also in this healthcare structure in a secure way. You can put also data from smartwatch applications into it, yeah. Technically it would be possible, but well, you have to decide if that's reasonable to see all the data from your smartwatch, yeah. Integration of other medical tracking devices, yeah, of course. Also medical tracking devices can be added to the system, and since it's a mobile application, it is very easy to adapt for your personal needs. You can also put new features into it. Yeah? Benefits for the service providers. They would have an automated administration functions. So also there they have like the list of all the patients, and additional secure and documented healthcare services for patients can be offered. For example, something that we don't have right now here in office, remote healthcare services. Yeah, you can make remote health appointments. The patient is sitting at home and talking to the doctor in his office via the secure connection. Benefits for the government would be that strengthens the confidence of the population in electronic administration as they get familiar with the electronic services. Means that since the patients get used to mobile phones and using e-government services also on the mobile phone. So it's kind of a new way and a new trust of the e-government services. Additional healthcare services for citizens are possible. Automated communication allows reduction of expenses of administrations in healthcare as well. So could be possible. We showed that our conclusion proof of concept demonstrates that existing Austrian Health IT card can be transferred to mobile device. Yeah. So everything is there technically. Yeah. You only have to put the things together, actually. And also the e-government. Next steps would be that the e-government says, okay, yeah, we really want that. We want to have a mobile ID application also in the whole infrastructure. The mobile environment leads to innovative aspects and new use cases. So we only focused on starting the research project, but of course, now new functionalities are possible that haven't been here yet before. It would also allow patients to have more control about their health data. There's like a keyword, patient empowerment. Yeah, everybody wants to know more about their health data and also about the medical data. So this would be an interesting way to get the patient to the data in a secure way. And secure documentation and communication takes place through the app and helps to reduce paper and administration expenses. So that would be like kind of a vision, a view. Okay, and that's it. And
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Birgit. It's a pleasure to see your presentation here. Alexander, do you have some comments? Maybe some other colleagues are interested in this? No? So, Birgit, thank you very much for your presentation. You can please stay with us. And it's my honor to pass the floor to Alexander Turbitsyn. And Alexander is the representative of Russian ICT company. He's the Chief Strategy Officer at Lartek Telecom, Russian Federation. And he will tell us about the Internet of Things and lower power wide area network that his company is ready to suggest to colleagues globally. Alexander, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce a few information about myself. I'm Alexander. I am a business development manager of Lartek Telecom, and I'm responsible for business development and for relationship with our domestic partners and overseas company around the world. My presentation was connected with the Internet of Things. It's a very popular them currently around the world, and as we already discussed during this webinar, digital economy, digital transformation is a popular area currently in Russia and other countries. Firstly, I want to provide some information about technology and how we change landscape of technology currently in Russia and in the world. Our company, Lartek Telecom, used LP1 technology. LP1 technology is a new type of wireless telecommunication technology with this technology you can use end devices that can work and network, wireless network, 10 years and have very low consumption and can transmit data to long distance up to 50 kilometers in rural area and up to 3 kilometers in the city. And if you will see from this slide, you can see what difference between technologies that everyone know, like 3G, 4G for mobile communication, and new LP1 technologies. The difference between strategy is 3G, 2G, and 4G mobile technology. Last years they move forward with and trying to increase batteries because everyone in this planet have a mobile phone and want to share with friends your video, photos, etc., files. It's demands new requirement for boundaries of communications. LP1 strategy is reduce consumption and cost because LP1 and devices and networks send to network very low volume of data but can send this volume from end devices to base station with distance about 15 kilometers. And in the basement of this LP1 technology is LoRa modulation. LoRa modulation it's a unique modulation from American company Semtech. And currently around the world, next slide I will provide you some information about current situation with this network around the world. Many companies, telecom companies, moving with this technology forward, and see new possibilities for business, for return on investment with this technology. About Lartech Telecom. Lartech Telecom is one of the pioneer of Russian IoT market. Before IoT, it was M2M, but M2M was connected with billions devices around the world, and many people in the world currently have different types of gadgets that use different types of communication technology. And if we will see some prediction from European Commission, European Commission predicts about 1 trillion euros. It's a total volume of IoT market in 2020. Cisco is the biggest telecommunication company, American company, that predicts that volume of world IoT market will be up to 8 trillion next decade. And Lartech Telecom started a few years ago, and before IoT, we work with other technology. We work with the ZigBee wireless technology, and the company was main staff of company was in the ZigBee Alliance. But everything moved forward, and we see new technology, LP1, and currently we are Russian IoT operator, and we already deployed network in Russia. We have full coverage in St. Petersburg and St. Petersburg area, and we also have coverage in other 7 regions in Russia. Our infrastructure and Lartech includes base station networks. We also have our own network platform that controls these base stations, and also we have our cloud software that developed it in our company. And total staff of R&D department and 25 engineers currently. About alliances and compression of technologies. Currently, Lartech Telecom is a member of LoRa Alliance. LoRa Alliance is an international organization where participate currently more than 500 companies. It's a different types of companies. As example, as I told before, it's a Cisco, IBM, Curling from different countries. On this slide, you can see that yellow color is the countries where already deployed LP1 networks. As you can see, currently 50 countries already have coverage, and this is a commercial network where customers already can receive different types of service using end devices with LP1 technologies. And compression of technology, one very important notice and difference between 2G, 3G, LTE technology is LoRaWAN and LP1 use unlicensed frequency range, and companies that want to move with this technology on market, they don't need to receive special license to use this technology. This is a free for using. And what's the advantages what's the advantages of LoRaWAN technology? As I told before, is a very low consumption. You can use, as example, one battery AA type and use devices 10 years. One more about advantages. It's also higher penetration capacity of signal because it's very important thing for city for city coverage, it's high scalability. When we talk about IoT, we talk about million devices and a billion devices around the world. And encryption, very important, and very low price for end devices. And what we see last years in our country, in Russia, that government support digitalization of economics. And what's new that includes approach to deploy LP1 networks around the Russian cities. It's a new program, digital economics from Russian government. And this document was signed by Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev this year. And this document includes description how program agenda for next years for LP1 networks in Russia. This includes deployment LP1 in at least 5 cities in Russia. And LavTech Telecom have a solid background in the metering area with ZigBee technology. Moved with LoRaWAN and switch from one technology to LP1 with in smart metering area. And currently we supply our radio models that support LoRaWAN technology to different Russian meters manufacturers. It's a top manufacturers. As example, we supply radio models to Incotex and Energomeria is the biggest player on the electricity meters market. These two manufacturers produce more than 6 million electricity meters per year. It's a total volume. It's not of these meters, including radio, but we see interest from market for communications in metering area using LP1 technology, and also other type of meters. It's a gas metering, water metering, heat metering, etc. Current coverage, as I told before, we already have coverage in 7 regions in Russia and full coverage in St. Petersburg areas, where we have more than 100 base stations for full indoor coverage in my city. And how this network infrastructure work? We use, as I told the first slide, we developed our own network platform that name is SafraSign, and we also have our monitoring and support center that can control how it's working, status tracking, and support our end customers. We also have when people talk about IoT, they talk about city firstly, because it's hard to provide full coverage in Russia. Russia is a country with the biggest territory in the world. But in St. Petersburg area, we have coverage in rural area, and currently more than 20,000 customers already used our network for commercial purpose and receive data from end devices in rural area. And about IoT, one very important thing is that IoT connected with the smart city. What project we already have in smart city area? One of the project is the control of it's a waste management, and we can control fuel level sensors that install it and waste container. It's connected with a Russian program in waste management area, and companies that have logistics companies and waste management service companies that control can control fuel level and can approve tracking with containers. Other case with LP1 and IoT is manholes control. For our country, is very important because we see sometimes stolen manholes, and for telecommunication companies that have infrastructure, they can control manholes with special sensors that install it on a car. And in our network, we can provide geolocation service. It's very important notice that it's a geolocation service without GPS, because LoRaWAN and LP1 technology have possibilities to calculate geo position of end devices and network without GPS. It's a special algorithm that we use with our network server. When we use GPS, it demands significant consumption versus LoRaWAN. It's work outdoor only, but with LP1 we can provide this geolocation service, including indoor. And here, where located our company, our headquarters of our company in St. Petersburg, we already have a ecological monitoring project. One of the biggest Russian telecom company, Rostelecom, used our end devices, it's gas sensors, to control ecological situation in St. Petersburg. And we also provided special software that can special software for data visualization, and this software can storage history of ecological situation in our city. And as I told before, we have a different coverage in different cities, and one of the cities that we already have a LoRaWAN coverage, it's our partners in Samara, and these partners have plans for Ulyanovsk, so to deploy a LoRaWAN network in Ulyanovsk and provide service in IoT area for end customers in this city. That's all. Thank you.
Alexander, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to have you as well in this presentation. But for Ulyanovsk region, your company is also very important, but we've invited you just to introduce that in Russia there are there are lots of companies, and your company is one of them, that provide services in LoRaWAN and in some IoT services, and maybe some our colleagues from different countries of the world can contact you and solve their own problems, and you would be able to provide solutions for their economics. And
yes, yes.
Yeah, am I right? Yeah.
Yes, it's possible. We participated in the different international events. For example, Embedded World and Nuremberg. We also participated in European Utility Week this autumn, And we see interest not only in Russia. We in our portfolio we have heat meters as example that produced in Germany. This heat meters very popular in European countries, and I received many requests from India. We open for cooperation and communication with different companies from around the world.
Thank you, Alexander. Colleagues, if you have no questions, and just there are not many of us to the final part here. And again, thank you very much for participating, for joining this webinar. As I've mentioned before, we will upload this video to YouTube channel, and please feel free to share this video with our colleagues across the world. Thank you very much, dear colleagues. It's a pleasure to be with you, and see you again next time.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.